So, lately I've been talking a bit about respect. That we should be respectful. And when we come here to a place of practice, we should have the utmost respect for the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the teachings of the Lord Buddha, the teachings of the Lord Buddha. For this we should have utmost respect. The person who gives the talks about Dhamma is just a person. So when we pay respect to a monk or a person who gives Dhamma or a talk on Dhamma, then we should remind ourselves that we are actually paying respect to the Dhamma and not to the person or personality of the speaker. Don't confuse it. The Dhamma that comes out is Dhamma. If people say, and they do say, that my talks are helpful or encouraging or down to the point, that has nothing to do with me. So don't confuse it up. To see the personality and to see the Dhamma are two different things. If my talks are really helpful, then I'm delighted, but it's not my doing. Because if it would be my doing, if I would help you, or if I could help you, or if I could teach you, or if I could lead you on the path of practice, then I would ask for a lot of money to pay me back. But because the Dhamma is not my owning, it's not my thing that belongs to me. That's why I can't ask for anything. Dhamma is Dhamma. So when I give a talk, all what I can do is to get the hell out of the way and let the Dhamma come through. And if this Dhamma is helpful, then it's great. Because it's the making of the Dhamma if it helps you. If it's the making of the Dhamma that shows you the way, and it's the making of the Dhamma who talks about this or talks about that. It's not me. And I try my best to get out of the way. And it's up to you what kind of topic it is there to be talked about, and it's up to you what level or what depth of Dhamma will be released. It's up to you to tap the water of Dhamma. Sometimes people come and nothing comes out because they have just not the ability to tap the Dhamma. I just don't know what to say. I look at them and I just really don't know what to say. And some people can tap the Dhamma pretty well, and it flows out and flows out and flows out. And it could flow out for hours. So, it's your making, it's your interest, and it's your respect for the Dhamma that makes it flowing out of the speaker's mouth or out of the speaker's heart. But it has nothing to do with my own making. It's not my making. I try to make that sure that it's not my making. So I try to make it sure that I get out of the way when the Dhamma comes out. And that's why people who come to practice or people who come to pay respect to the monks, they actually pay respect to three things: the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Because that's what the monk is a representative of. He's a representative of the Lord Buddha, of the Dhamma, and of the Sangha. The Sangha is the community of holy people. And that's why respect is necessary. Dhamma is the highest thing, has the highest value, has a value beyond all the values in this world. And that's why it needs a lot of respect. And that's why we need to pay a lot of respect. Sometimes when you see it, when you go to other temples, you might see the monk when he gives the praise of Anumodana, or when he gives the precept, then he hides himself behind a shield. So, in order not to confuse the people with his personality, but to make them see that this is the Dhamma that comes out. There's also the reason why the monks use, instead of the I, they use we. When we talk about ourselves, then we use we. We are teaching, we are this, or we are that. But Dhamma Mahabodha doesn't use this. In Thai it's called Atama. Atama means our excellency, or our highness, or whatever. There's hardly any good translation for that. But something like that. Dhamma Mahabodha doesn't use it, but when he talks to lay people, he always uses the we instead of the I. When he talks to the monks, then it's of course I. And I say that because people do remind me that I have to comply with the standard. If I talk in Thai or if I talk in English. But this will sound very strange, and that's why I give you this explanation. It has nothing to do that I put myself up, but all what I put up for respect is the Dhamma that comes out. So when we talk about the Dhamma, then it's a respect for Dhamma, why we call it we. Because it has a high stand, it has a high value, it has a value beyond all of the world. It has such a value that it cannot be sold on marketplace. That's why Dhamma is always given freely, without any cost, without any asking. And Dhamma doesn't belong to anybody. Dhamma just exists. So people who want to practice this path should have respect for the Dhamma, should have respect for the Lord Buddha, and should have respect for the Sangha. And the Sangha is pretty much defined. It's defined as the Sangha of the holy people. There are 4 grades of holiness. The first grade of holiness is the one who enters the stream. Then the next stage is one who returns only one time. The third stage is one who does not return anymore. And the fourth stage is a completely liberated person, the Arahant. These are actually, as it is in the praise for the Lord Buddha, mentioned as the Sangha, the community of holy people. And if you ask yourself why a stream enterer is called a holy person, because he has entered the stream and he will end up, no matter what, he will end up in Nibbana. That's why he is called also one of the holy people. For an Arahant, it's clear. He has made it. He has finished his task. He is completely whole in every aspect. The stream enterer just has seen this holiness. But this holiness is then, once he has seen it, engraved in his heart. It cannot be removed anymore. It is like you have digged in your cave of wealth and made for the first time a hole. This hole will be there forever. And whenever you look through this hole, you will see your wealth, your inner wealth, or your inner riches. You will see Nibbana. And that's why we should have respect for the Sangha, for the Buddha, and for the Dhamma. The Dhamma itself is the principle of truth, or also the teachings of the Lord Buddha. Having respect, there are two forms. It's one of the inner attitude, and it's one of the outside formality. The outside formality can be practiced pretty easily. The inside attitude of respect is developed slowly and very difficult. We have to, if we want to respect Dhamma, we not only have to respect the Dhamma, but we have to respect ourselves, and we have to respect other people. And respecting other people or other beings, this is the most difficult task for us. And we should take this as a teaching, or should take this as a mirror of ourselves. If we are not able to respect other beings, how are we able to respect ourselves? Because the true nature of other beings and the true nature of us are one and the same thing. So that means if we cannot respect other beings, we cannot respect ourselves, and we will not respect the Dhamma. And the Dhamma is the true nature. And this is, of course, for most of the people, and especially in the West, very difficult to train. Because we look down on people very often. We think we are better than others. Or if we see some case that might be better, then we look for the faults in this person in order to level it down. In order to bring it down to our low standards of morality or virtue. This is what is normally done. And this is what we have to counteract. So, but it's not only this with respect. It's with any kind of thing. When we look at other people and we see something that we do not like, then this is a thing that exists within ourselves. And that's the place where we can eradicate it. Just within ourselves. If we see somebody doing something that we do not like, we have to find it, the same kind of tendency within ourselves, and remove it. And only if we are successful in removing it, then we will not look down on that other person or on this other being doing this, but instead of it, when we completely removed it, we feel a lot of metta. Metta is loving kindness for this person, because we know what he's going through, how much suffering he has because he behaves like this. So remember this. As long as you look down on other people, as long as you think other people are doing this wrong or that wrong, then you still have a lot of work to do. a lot of work to do, and this mirror of the world that is outside, this we can use to look at our inside. Normally the kilesas are closing our eyes, that's why we don't see. But our eyes, when we open it in the world, then we see very closely. And this we can take as help to see or look for the things that are not right within ourselves. This is a good way of training oneself when one lives out in the world, but it's also a good way of training oneself once one stays long enough here in this monastery and then finds fault with all the other monks or fault with all the other practitioners and so on and so on. But in the beginning it will not come up very easily. One has to live in a place for a longer period of time so that one can see. Then, what Tanacha Mahabodhi always says, look at your own heart first. We are not that great, we are not that good, and we are not that perfect. And there's a lot of things to do that are just rest within our own heart. So, start the work right there. And don't even are interested what the other people are doing around you. They have their work and you have your work. And that's why, out of this reason, if the monks are practicing this kind of looking at themselves, that's why the monks live in a community that is free of enmity, that is free of troubles, and that is free of arguing, and so on. And monks are pushed in this way, and especially if they live in a monastery like this. Not to scold the other person, not to look at the other monks, or not to look at this or look at that, but to look at themselves. And that's where the place where we can find, or we find a lot. And there, if we look at this place, we have so much work to do that we don't even have the time to look what other people are doing. So think it. Take it to your heart. If you do it like this, if you look at your own, then you won't notice what is going on outside of your environment. But if you still cannot do it, if you still see it, or still see these beings or that beings misbehaving, then take it as a teaching for yourself. And look in yourself and eradicate this cause of action, or eradicate this tendency. Do not go on and tell this person that he is behaving wrong. Just do not do it. Just before you open your mouth and you want to say it, stop it. And go in retreat. Go back to your kuti and look at yourself. That's one of the reasons why this monastery is a pretty peaceful place. Because we do not argue, we do not get into fights, and we do not get into conflict. Because every one of us has its own work to do. And we do not have any discussion, even under monks, we do not have any discussion group about the Dhamma. Because the Dhamma is the Dhamma and there is nothing to be discussed about the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the truth, so what do you want to discuss about the truth? and especially in discussing about the misbehaviors of others, that is not at all a topic. It hasn't been in the 12 years. I haven't heard anything. There has never been a meeting about the misbehavior of other people. It's our own business. But if a person really misbehaves in a way that is against the Vinaya or against about the rules of the monks, then he will be chucked out, and that is the work of Tanacha Mahabor or the abbot or the vice abbot. The work I just talked about is one part of investigation. It's one thing that comes up so easily that we have to work with. It comes up in our practice. We see, we live in the kuti, where 2 or 3 people, and then it immediately comes up. So we have ample of possibilities to work on ourselves. This person gets up too early, or is too loud, or washes himself, or sneezes too loud, or things like that. It's our reaction towards these things that make us feeling unsatisfactory, or feeling pain, or just simply dissatisfaction. It has nothing to do with them. It has always to do something with our own views, opinions, and our reaction towards the outside environment. Once we let go of these views, opinions, and reactions towards the outside environment, we will be free. We just will see the things as they are. But as long as we have our views, this should be done in this way, or this should be done in that way, this person should behave like this, or that person should behave like that, and I myself, I'm the guru, or I myself have practiced so long, for now, I should know better. These are all wrong views. When you think about the practice, there is no person who is a beginner, and there is no person who is advanced. Why? Because we all do the same work every day. For 12 years I'm doing the same work. Just like the beginner does this kind of work. Either concentrating in samadhi, trying to concentrate on the breath, or mentally repeating Buddha, or doing the investigation of the 5 khandhas. So, the work of a monk who has been a monk for 30 years and the work of a beginner who has just started doing the practice is the same. So I cannot view myself as being better as the other person, just because I have done it longer. And even don't even think so. Don't even think so that you are more experienced than a beginner. Some of the beginners can have a much higher attainment than you. Monks who have been monks for 30 or 40 years, and there comes a lay person with just 1 or 2 years of experience, can have a higher attainment. Some monks who have been monks for 70 years don't need to be arahants. But some monks who have trained themselves for 4 years, like Luang Pu Li, have become, within these 4 years, an arahant. So there's no matter how to judge, the length of stay or the length of practice you have been undergoing. This is not a valid judgment. We just do, every one of us is just trying to do his work. Trying to do the work of eradicating the kilesas, trying to understand the workings of the 5 khandhas, trying to understand the principles of anicca, anatta, and dukkha. And every one of us does it. Monks, in this respect, even monks and lay people who practice do not differ. There are lay people, who can be more attained as monks, more attained than monks, but also there are monks who are much more attained than lay people. So it does not necessarily mean that putting on the robes is something, that you suddenly, within 10 years, you automatically attain to arahantship. A lot of work needs to be done. It took Thanachal Mahaprabhu 16 years to come to the point of enlightenment. But his disciple Lungpuli attained it within 4 years. Why did he attain it so fast? Because he was all the time with Thanachal Mahaprabhu. Sometimes were just 2 to 2. Going on Tudong, and whenever he was doing something wrong, Thanachal Mahaprabhu pointed it out. And he couldn't escape anywhere. So he had to work with it. And that's why it made it, that is one of the reasons why it made it so fast. Another reason, of course, is his past life. The training in his past life. That made it possible for him to go so fast or so easy. So we don't know what we have done in our past life. We just start now, and that's what we have to work with. Whatever comes up now, that's what we work with. No matter what kind of experience we had in the past, now we start the new path. Now we start the path of Sila, Samadhi and Panya, coupled with respect, generosity and gratitude. That is our path of practice. Understanding the principles of anicca, anatta, dukkha, and investigating the 5 khandhas. See them for what they really are. And it is possible. It is really possible. If we put our determination and effort in these simple tasks, there's not a lot we have to understand. But there's a lot that we have to do. It's just like grinding on a metal. There's a lot of work we have to do. Until the metal becomes even, it takes a lot of skill to be developed to hold it. What is it called? To hold whatever. What's this Pfeile auf Englisch? Huh? Well, you grind down metal. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Grinding wheel?
No, it's not a grinding wheel. It's a brass file. Oh, you call it the same way. File. So, first we need to develop the skill, to hold it even. The rasp or the file, we have to hold it even. And then we have to move it evenly over the piece of metal. And that takes a lot of skill, and it takes a lot of endurance and patience to grind down the metal so it becomes absolutely even. And we have to do that the same way with our mind. We have to grind down all these nasty kilesas until there's nothing left of them. Until the mind completely becomes even or completely becomes stable or peaceful and happy. And about samadhi, don't even think about samadhi, don't even think about if you attain samadhi or not samadhi. If you attain samadhi, and even be it the upachara samadhi, the excess concentration, you will know it. It will light up your face, so you don't even have to ask. If you ask, then you still haven't attained it. You just might have looked into the door, and see it and think, and get excited. And then instead of closing the door behind you, because you get so excited, you close the door in front of you. And then you then you think, I've been in samadhi, but actually you have not. Samadhi is a state of peacefulness, it's a haven within this heavy storm where you actually feel free of all the waves that are outside. You see the waves outside. You see the high tide outside. But within the haven there is just, it's just peaceful and calm. The ship doesn't wiggle. But outside you see the storm that moves you up and moves you down. But when you're in access concentration, you still see the storm, but it doesn't move you. You're completely safe for that time, like you're in a haven. You're safe in this haven. The moment you move out of this haven again, and that is, opening the door and getting out, then you are back into trouble. So it's very clear. And for a person who experiences access concentration or the Upachara Samadhi, he will know it. But most of the people just, open the door, look inside and say, oh, that's so nice. In the next 5 minutes they just stay on this thought, how pleasant this was. And it was just half a second or even less than half a second. And that makes them so excited that they start thinking, how nice this was, and so on and so on. And over all of this, they forget the work that brought them there. And they only want to have this nice feeling back. And then they look for this feeling, and this feeling is still there somewhere, and then they look and they dwell on it. But this is not samadhi. To look at the feelings and dwell on them, this is not samadhi. Samadhi is a place of safety, of security. And of course, when you're safe and secure, you feel happy and contented. How can it be otherwise? But when you look for these feelings of happiness and contentment, then you're still not safe, because you always have to look and you always have to produce them. So this is not samadhi. The thought, and for other people it's anxiety. Anxiety, that they're going to lose something, that they lose control of themselves, or they lose control of the situation. That's what makes them not enter samadhi. So don't even worry about it. Just do the work. Just do the work of observing the Buddha, or do the work of observing the breath. And you will know once you've entered. And you surely will know once you left. Okay. And are back in the storm. This is so clear. This is so obvious. Like going from a stormy ocean into the haven and going back into the storm. You will notice it, without doubt, without faith. So don't think. Don't confuse it being samadhi. And Appana Samadhi is even much more clearer. Appana Samadhi, or the deep state of samadhi, is when first the body disappears from our sense awareness, and then the whole world disappears. And all what remains is one pointedness, one knowing. And this, of course, you will never forget. This is something that you have never ever experienced before. Or at least most of you have not experienced. Once you experience, you know that there is something, that you want again. This kind of deep state of samadhi, where you actually really rest, where the mind for the first time really takes a deep rest. It's like our deep sleeping phase. There, where we really rest, where we do not dream, and where we do not turn around, we really do sleep. Deeply arrest. And that is the same thing with Appana Samadhi. It's a deep state, rest of the mind, and once it comes out, it is full of energy. And it views things in a distant manner. So it means subjectivity, once you come out, subjectivity is relieved. There will be a lot of objectivity. So the observer knows this is an object observed, and this object has nothing to do with oneself. So once one gets out of this Appana Samadhi, one can do very good body contemplation, because one doesn't feel uneasy about it. Normally, if we attach to this body, and the moment we do body contemplation, we feel uneasy about doing it. Or a lot of anger or disgust or things are coming up. But when we come out of this deep state of samadhi, our mind is pretty objective and he just sees things as they are. And even if it would be pain, he just sees it as pain. But it has nothing to do with him. But of course the effect of Appana Samadhi will leave soon or disappear pretty soon, much sooner than we wish for. So, I just say this. Please just don't even imagine or don't think that you are in samadhi or that you have been in samadhi. You will know it. It's a knowing that takes place in the heart. And this kind of knowingness we have to learn to catch, or we have to learn to catch up with. We have to learn to write it. Because actually writing this knowingness of the citta is leading us to the deep state of samadhi, to one-pointedness. And all what remains in this one-pointedness is just knowingness. And there is no observer and there is no object, there is just knowing. However you call it, even if you imagine you know what it means, that knowingness, you still don't know. Because all what we know from knowingness, when we use the word knowingness, is knowing something in relation to. That's our state of knowingness, or that's the worldly state of knowingness. We know in relation to. But in this kind of Appana Samadhi, there is a knowingness that has no relation to, that just knows. Because the object has disappeared. Just like in Nibbana, there is just one-pointedness. There is no time. There has never been a time. And that's why it's called eternity. It has never arisen and it will never cease. So it's pretty similar. And that's why Tanajan Mahabodha calls this state of samadhi as the preview of Nibbana, or the Nibbana of the little man. Little man, why? Because everyone can do it, if he trains his mind to do it, or if it trains his citta to do it. So, as I always say, it's up to you. You have to find the means and ways to get. And all what I can say is, I give you the help and the hints that don't forget the work. And the results of the work, like any kind of results of the work, just will appear as itself. If you start building a road and always, imagine that the road is finished, the road will never finish. But if you just to put one stone after the other, and when you look back, you will see the road. It has been built already. And this is the fruit of your work. So samadhi is the fruit of your work. So if you forget to do the work and just look ahead, there's so much to do, or look behind, I've done only so little, that's no use. Just put one stone at a time, and the road will finish. And this is the effect of your work, that there will be a road. And this will be the effect of your training of the citta, there will be samadhi. So don't worry about, all these exciting things that happen within your mind. These exciting things are just tricks of the kilesa to pull you away from your work. Just pulling you away. You're pulling your attention away from the work. Everything that is exciting in the citta, is pulling you off. Pulling you off your work. And the only work that we have to do is so simple. It's just observing the breath coming in or the breath coming out and the quality of the breath. knowing about the quality of the breath. And it's the same thing with the Buddha, just a mental repetition of the word Buddha and knowing the quality of the Buddha. That's all what we have to do. So, and with this I leave it up to you. And also I end my talk.